Okay, good morning, everybody. Everybody's well. Thanks for joining us on the Boost. Meaning Makers, talking about meaning, desire for meaning, how important having meaning in our life is, how we give meaning to everything. If you want to understand, really, and we spoke with this a little bit, if you want to understand the power of meaning, just look at a guy playing Candy Crush on the train, right? Like, why in the world would anyone play Candy Crush ever? It gives you nothing in life. What does it give you? You finish a board, and what does it do for you? Like, you get nothing in return. Nothing. Even if you did nothing, you at least get some rest and relaxation in your brain. But it gives you zero. Like, I don't know, it's a zero. You get nothing in return. Why do you do it for? Well, it's simple, because we want meaning. You want to achieve mastery in something. So when you play a game or a board and you win, you get more points, I guess. And so you get meaning. Anything can have meaning. Trust me, anything can have meaning. If you grew up the way I grew up, with a bunch of great friends in Brooklyn, it didn't have to be from Brooklyn, but if you grew up I don't know, if I grew up in a world where, especially on Shabbat, on the Sabbath, when we were like in shul and we were young, and the rabbi was speaking who we loved, but we couldn't see the rabbi's speech and this and that, and afternoons and Sundays and Friday. Like, I had the same crew of like guys that just we figured out a way to make games out of nothing. Do you have this growing up? Where like some guy brings in like a sock, and like the next thing you know, we're having this intense game of like sock baseball. Did you guys in the backyard? And someone like finds like a broom, and like before you know it, we're like putting the broom, and you got to jump over the broom, and we lived, at least my backyard was concrete growing up, and you landed the wrong way, like, so if you don't rip your pants, it's like double the points, right? And if you rip your pants and your mom finds out, then you're out. But if you jump over the broom and you don't kill yourself, like, and like before you know it, like we're going out of our minds. Like, we're going out of our minds. We're like yelling at each other and like calling each other cheaters because the back of your foot touched the broom before you jumped over it, or the sock really came apart in the middle of the base running. You know what I'm talking about? Did you ever do this growing up? It doesn't happen so much anymore for some reason. Like the world got like smart, so now you can just play it on your phone. But if you grew up pre-phones, like if you grew up in the world pre-internet, and like there was only 7 channels on your television, like, and after a while, like there's only so much you can watch. You know what I'm talking about? Back in those days where they had to wait for the Cosby Show, like from 9 in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night, there was 0 on television. Like, what did you do all day when you came home from school early? What did you do? You went outside to the backyard. You figured it out. Your buddies came over and like you made up a game. So you play basketball a little bit, but like after a while, sometimes some guys like, I don't know, what do you think? There's 6 rocks. There's a stoop. Like, let's figure something out. And then before you know it, like there's politics, and you're making teams, and you're getting upset, and your mom's like, what happened? And you're like, I can't believe that guy cheated. She's like, what are you talking about? You're making meaning. And it encompasses you. You love it. It's your own little world of meaning. It's not real, but we make meaning. It's the sock baseball is just as real as real baseball. Just more people bought into it. The system's bigger, more teams, which is just as real, honestly, as, I don't know, all the money we make that we don't need, if we want to be straight about it. God should bless us with enormous amounts of resources and wealth, and no one should ever need. But the pursuit of things that we don't need is a game to some people. Some people it's not. Some people, I know people like this. They're using it to change the world, really. Some people are using it because they want to win. They don't know what game to play, so they told them the game to play is wealth, and so they're just collecting, just so that they can say, I'm beating you. Not everybody, but some people. It's a game. Finding meaning in achieving some ladder that somebody put up, that I can feel when I climb it, I'm getting somewhere. The goals that we go after are our way of finding meaning. Which is why, when you think about it, it's not even the thing you're after that's important. Like, that thing doesn't even matter, right? Because if you get there and someone's like, that's not important, it doesn't feel as well. I think that's why a lot of people retire, to be between me and you. Some people retire because they can't hack it, they can't do it. Their body, sports, I mean, their bodies can't do it. Even in business, there's only so much you can work as hard as you work. And I think some people retire, honestly, because it doesn't matter anymore. Like, my whole life was to win a championship. My whole life was to achieve the corner office. My whole life was to be the head of the hospital. My whole life was to be given the respect as this nurse. My whole life was whatever. And now I'm here. I'm at the top. And I still don't feel any better. I still don't feel any deeper. This isn't meaningful. This isn't as meaningful as I thought it was. I thought that when I hit this level of my life, of material success, it would feel amazing. It doesn't. So now this pursuit that I'm on, my career path that I've dedicated my life to, I'm sitting in a corner office at a big law firm. My whole life, since I was, 9 years old, was getting me here. I don't feel much better. And there's nowhere else to go but up. There's no more up, really. I mean, there's a little bit at the margins, but this is where I think a lot of people have significant moments that they don't know how to get out of. And they think it's because there's something wrong with them. There's a lot of struggling going on here, in my opinion. You may be going through it, you may know people going through it, or you may have gone through it. Those goals that you've been pursuing your whole life, you've reached them. There's a certain risk in reaching the top of the mountain. Because once you get to the top, you realize, oh my gosh, this is it. Because when I was climbing, that was great. You see, the reason, in my opinion, is because, this is going back to the goals mean things, is because you weren't climbing for the goal. You were climbing for the meaning that the goal was providing you. Right? It doesn't matter when you win. It matters that you are fighting to win, because when you fight to win something, that in itself gives meaning to the thing you're fighting for. But after you win, after those first few moments, now you can get the afterglow of that was amazing. For sure. But the will, the drive, man's search for meaning. Judith Michelle wrote a book called Beyond Your Ego. Here's what she writes. The major activity of human beings is to extract meaning from their encounters with this world. Listen to that. In his book, Viktor Frankl quotes a study of 60 students at an American university who attempted suicide. The reason given for the suicide attempt of 85% of the students was life seemed meaningless. It wasn't pain, it wasn't poverty, it wasn't trauma. Like just get underneath this for a second. Just get underneath this for a second. The students that were attempting suicide here in this particular study that Viktor Frankl did, it wasn't because of life was too hard to live. It wasn't because the trauma that they experienced at some point in their life was too much to bear. 85% was because life seemed meaningless. I've reached a plateau. I've reached a pinnacle. I'm somewhere. And I just can't continue to make meaning out of this stuff. I don't got enough meaning. See how the world works? Where it sells us comfort. It just sells us comfort. But it never satisfies because we're built to want meaning. You see how that whole thing plays with the soul and the body? You see that dichotomy, just right in front of our eyes? That the body wants comfort and the animalistic parts of ourselves really wants a life where I can get as much as I can for as little effort, and I want to indulge in everything around me, and I want to control and dominate and win. Lusts, desires, sleep, food, all bring it to me. The animal, the ground. And you see how society continuously provides us more and more stuff. It can never fully satisfy us, and the psychologists are trying to put their heads around it. You can almost see secular psychologists trying to somehow capture a spiritual concept, which is you have a soul, and that soul is unsatisfied with materialism. It wants more. It comes into this world because it comes from somewhere meaningful. The soul's a piece of the divine. You are meaningful. You are purposeful. Your life is meaningful. And so if you feed your life with food, it's going to be like, you're joking me? Are you out of your mind? I want meaning. I want purpose. I want something to get up for in the morning. I want something to believe in. I want something to sacrifice for. I want something that I could sacrifice for. I want to be part of something more than myself. And in a world where it is so hard to find spirituality, we have to settle for some physical thing that I can put my desires into. I got to figure out a game to make up so that I can now put all of that spiritual energy of meaning and purpose into a made-up game, and at least it's something. It's better that than nothing. If I've got to have a stadium and I got to sit around with 50,000 people and chant in unison for something and believe that I'm one little seat in a sea of something more than myself. If I've got to fight for something, stay up late studying or doing or work, if I got to be in this space, I don't know how to do it. Let me put something physical in front of me. Because that's what I know. I know the physical world. I know the material world. So let me put something. Career success, money, societal success, attention, likes, views, something that I can touch and count. And let me make that meaningful. Let me make that meaningful. Because it gets me close. But it don't get you far. It can for most of one's life, but there's always a moment where someone stops and goes, that thing that I'm looking at really isn't inherently meaningful. It's a synthetic. That's the challenge. You can have fun, but are our goals meaningful? Or are we just putting it as a place saver? Because we don't really know how to make meaningful goals. So we'll just make any goals. Because having any goals, and especially if society thinks they're important, and I can get that feeling of meaning, just having the goal clicks me into the search for meaning, which is what I'm after. And then I can breathe in the morning because I have what to work for. All right, we'll talk about this. It's hard stuff, I think. You'll be thinking this, like, of course. Seeing the inherent value of the goals is hard. It really requires us to take a really good look at our lives. What am I striving for? And is the thing that I'm striving for in life even valuable inherently? Or is it just a place saver for the meaning that I'm looking for in life? All right, we'll talk about this. Have a great day, everybody. With the help of the Almighty, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Living on a lifeline, the world doesn't ever seem to change. Looking for the sunshine, but you're caught up in the rain. It's like your eyes are wide open, but you cannot see. You're watching life pass you by like 1, 2, 3. Walking in destruction, the winds of life blur your vision. All the devastation forever feels like you're on the run. It's time, no one else can set you free. You're locked inside, and only you have got